Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name is Matt.
My name is Dyl, and first of all, I want to thank you into this episode because we are doing something very cool today. We are continuing our post-Cannes predictions. We did Best Picture, Director, and Screenplays last time, but today it's all about those acting performances. So before we dive into this, drop down in the comments, what are some of your bold predictions? Drop a like, drop a dislike, drop a subscription. We're coming with new one of these each and every week. So Matt, take us away. Which category should we start off with?
Well, I guess if I'm starting it off, let's talk Best Actress, my dude.
Ooh.
Best Actress, the category that the stands come out for, where everyone just tries to murder each other and gouge each other's eyes out. Actually, this is my least favorite part of the Oscar race, is the stands being stands on the internet. But anyways, let's talk about the category. Let's not talk about the stands. So, Best Actress, where are we at right now? Answer, I'm still saying Fantasia Barrino takes the win here, takes the W for The Color Purple. I mean, for one thing, I think this is just going to be a magnificent performance. It's a role that has won two different actresses Tony Awards. LaChanze and Cynthia Erivo have both won the Tony Award for this very role. It's a very meaty role. Fantasia did a great job with it on Broadway. You can find her performance in large chunks on YouTube. So you know kind of a little bit what to expect here. She is doing a lot here. It's a great role. And since I think the movie is winning Best Picture and Best Director, it only makes sense for me to say that it's going to win Best Actress as well, because a reliable thing in the past few years has been that if you win Best Picture, an acting prize is probably going to come along with it. Everything Ever All at Once, Coda, Nomadland, not Parasite, because fuck Parasite, I guess. No acting nominations for you. But also, very much worth mentioning, Fantasia Barrino would be the third woman of color and the second black woman to win this prize. And after last year's controversy, where people were very upset that Danielle Deadwyler and Viola Davis did not make the category, pointing to the Oscars as being racist for not nominating any black women in the category in a year with many fantastic performances from black women, this could be a way to address last year's controversy. I know the Oscars don't work like that. They're not a hive mind. It's 10,000 different people voting their own way. But I think that there will be a narrative there, and subconsciously, even if it's not a conscious decision to vote that way, I do think subconsciously it will probably affect a little bit the same way that in 2015 we had the Oscars So White controversy, and in 2016, nominated for Best Picture, we had Fences, Hidden Figures, and winning Best Picture, Moonlight. I do think that subconsciously those types of controversies can sway the next year just through narrative.
I also agree. I have Fantasia now at number one. I've been a little bit skeptical in the past. The trailer definitely did not help me out. However, my case for putting her at one now is looking at the competition. She makes the most sense. Eyes have gone on May December. Eyes have been on Past Lives. They haven't really said Best Actress winner, and poor things, while I'm really excited for it, I don't see the angle for Stone to win now that I have a visual to it. So while I don't feel great about Fantasia at one, it makes the most sense for where we're at right now.
I'll talk a little bit about Stone once I get through my top five, because spoiler, she's not in my top five. But I do think that if anyone else wins Best Actress, it would probably be Emma Stone. At number two, I have Annette Bening in Nyad. Now, Annette Bening is playing a public figure, an author, and a athlete, Diana Nyad, who is the first person to swim from Cuba to Florida with no shark cage, and she did it at the age of 64, which is kind of wild. So in my eyes, this is going to be a very showy performance. It's going to be very big. It's going to be a very much like a inspirational type movie that I think is going to connect with the older members of the Academy, the same way that like Ford v Ferrari did. And Annette Bening has a huge overdue narrative. She's had 4 nominations. Many think that she should have won for American Beauty in 1999, but she was up against Hilary Swank for Boys Don't Cry, which is like kind of an unbeatable Oscar win right there. So Annette Bening is quite overdue. She could have that kind of Glenn Close energy coming through the season, but as we know, that type of narrative does not always work anymore. I'm going to say it won't this year, but I think that she's pretty good for a nomination. Might pick up like a Golden Globe win, possibly, That feels right. Then at number 3, I have Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall. Now, I could have her for the Zone of Interest here. I don't. I have that at number 8 because the difference with these performances is apparently in Anatomy of a Fall, she's doing a lot. She has a lot of dialogue. She speaks 3 different languages, I believe, in the film. I might be wrong about that, but I think she speaks English, French, and German through this film. It's apparently a very, very meaty role and a great performance. People have said that this is a Cate Blanchett in Tar level performance. If that is the case, I could see her being the critics' leader with wins for this category this year. Also, in the past decade, we have had 4 nominations from non-English performances in this category, that being Penelope Cruz, Yalitza Aparicio, Isabelle Huppert, and Marion Cotillard. So Sandra Hüller would fit alongside those, and also would say Zone of Interest is going to help her in Anatomy of a Fall, because apparently she's very good in Zone of Interest, but doesn't talk much, doesn't do much, so it's just going to boost her profile for Anatomy of a Fall.
You took the words right out of my mouth there with Hüller. I mean, right now I'm predicting her to be in 2 Best Picture nominees, and I think, like you said, both performances are going to help each other. Just Anatomy of a Fall is, the more showcasing one of the 2. I think that you're a little high on Nyad across the board, but hey, that's what these early predictions are for, is to, take those shots, because I'm high on some movies that you're not as high on, you're high on movies I'm not as high on. So I respect these 2 picks right here.
To be fair, Nyad's not in my Best Picture now that May December has been acquired by Netflix. So I only have Nyad with 2 nominations, Actress and Cinematography. So those are the 2 I have.
Interesting, okay.
Now at number 4, I have Greta Lee in Past Lives. I am going to see Past Lives tomorrow, so I wish that I'd already seen it so that I could talk about it, but I have not already seen it, so I can't really talk about Greta Lee. But let's just say I've heard amazing things about this performance. I think this is a surefire Best Picture nominee, likely original screenplay winner, possibly number 2 in Best Picture. If that is the case, then Greta Lee being in the top 5 here for Best Actress makes a lot of sense. And at number 5, I have Natalie Portman in May December. We've heard so many good things about the performances in May December. I wish I could put her a little bit higher. I just can't, because I think that she's on the fence for maybe not even getting a nomination, because people are saying this movie is very wacky, is a little bit weird. I could see one of the performances from May December getting left off for some reason. Either 3 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 of them will get nominations, but I think that they're going to spend the season on the chopping block outside of Charles Melton. I think he's safe, but I think Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore, because of the confusion of who's lead, who's supporting, I feel like they might be living on the edge a little bit with this movie.
Netflix is really good at getting their actors in, regardless of the movies and pictures. So if it does make it to picture, I feel like she's probably in. But hey, the movie could be not an Oscar thing at all, and they have a whole other push, whether that is Nyad or The Killer or something that we don't even know about at this moment.
So let's talk Emma Stone. Now, I've already said Emma Stone could be in win contention, but I think that there's a big if with that. And that's if the movie is a massive critical and audience success. Because even though I have Poor Things in Best Picture, I have this aching feeling that Emma Stone's performance is going to be very polarizing. I think some people are going to say it's the best performance of the year, and I think others are going to say she maybe did too much, especially if the audience response is a little bit more similar to Babylon. I could still see this make Best Picture if that's the case, but I would expect a Margot Robbie situation where some people are saying she did perfectly, she's the best of the year, and others are saying she just did too much here. No matter what she does, her performance is going to annoy some people, especially if she does it really well, if she really embodies that like childish feeling to it. If the movie is like universally beloved, it's like a favorite level success, I think she is either number 2 or number 1. But if it has like a 60s to 70s Metacritic, lower audience score, I would say that I could still see the movie getting a lot of other nominations, but she would be on the outside looking in.
I could see this going 2 ways for Stone. It's either, like you said, she's Margot Robbie in Babylon, where people are like, oh, she's great, just this movie's not really for us, or she's Ana de Armas in Blonde, where they say this movie's not for us, but you're still coming along because we respect you as an actress.
The difference, I think, is that Blonde was a very unsafe movie that voters really hated, but they still liked Ana de Armas because her performance was safe, right? Same with Spencer. Kristen Stewart and Spencer, not a safe movie, but a safe performance. And I'd say the same thing about Ana de Armas in Blonde. And what we have here is a very unsafe performance, a very risky performance, a performance that's going to be very big and like outrageous, while those other performances are a little bit more not reserved, but you know what to expect out of them, right? Like you're getting a biopic performance still. Again, I think Emma Stone is either number 1 or she's number 6. Now let's talk about the rest of the contenders that I've got here. I first off have Jessica Lange for Long Day's Journey into Night at number 7. Lange already has 2 Oscars for Tootsie and Blue Sky. She might not need a 3rd Oscar. I don't think she does, but she won the Tony for this role in Long Day's Journey into Night in 2016, and it reminds me a little bit of Denzel Washington in Fences, who was highly, highly praised for it on the stage, and then went on to play that character on screen, also got an Oscar nomination there. I don't think Lange will, but I think it's a possibility that we cannot write off. Then at number 9, I have Kate Winslet in Lee. Some people might yell at me for this, but what I'm going to say is this just feels like a Golden Globe Actress Drama nominee that just goes nowhere after that. It reminds me a lot of Rosamund Pike in A Private War, of Nicole Kidman in Destroyer, Jessica Chastain in Miss Sloane, or Jennifer Aniston in Cake. It's that type of nomination. We need those types of performances. That's why it's in my top 10 right there. Also because I think this category is pretty thin, because at number 10 I have Margot Robbie in Barbie. Some people are going to be mad at me for saying this category is thin and then putting Margot Robbie at number 10. I see her getting a Golden Globe nomination, even if the movie's a massive hit. I just don't see Margot Robbie in Barbie getting a Best Actress nomination, especially seeing what we've seen of the trailer. She looks like she's doing a good job, but it doesn't look like it's a revelation of acting. It just looks like a really fun performance.
In addition to your 10, I would also still throw out Tiana Taylor in that like 8 to 15 range. Like I don't think she's getting nominated, but she'll be there all season, like those critic type picks where like people are like, oh, maybe in like a Brian Tyree Henry Causeway way, but not gonna happen at the end of the day.
I don't know. It kind of feels to me, in terms of the critic push, it kind of feels to me like John Boyega in Breaking, where we were like, oh, this is gonna be like a critic pick, right? Like critics will go for this. And then they just didn't. And that's kind of what Tiana Taylor feels like. But Dylan, take Best Actor away, because I know that there's going to be a lot of things in here that I disagree with. But I'm the unpopular one on this one. So let's talk about it.
At number 1, I have a new person. Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, come to the top of the totem pole. The whole push with this movie so far has been him, and I mean it's 3 hours of acting. If he knocks out of the park, people get behind this movie. If Universal pushes it, I could see it going a long ways. While I don't feel great about having him at number 1, I see the vision, and I'm gonna stick to that in this moment. I mean, we are in June after all. Best Actor, I think more so than Best Actress. There's not a clear number 1. I think in Best Actress, most people have Fantasia at the moment. If they don't have Fantasia, they have Emma Stone, like you mentioned. So over here in Best Actor, there's like 5 or 6 names I could make an argument for to be at my number 1. Just I'm leaning more Murphy this month than I did last month, and then who knows, the movie comes out next month and maybe he drops down or he solidifies his spot at number 1.
So this is a funny like thing to look at of how we do our prediction videos, because we jump back and forth where like every month we totally swap it. Last month Cillian Murphy was at number 7, and now he's at number 1. It hasn't changed a whole lot for me, because I still don't have a lot of faith in Oppenheimer. I'd love to see Cillian Murphy get his flowers, though, so that'd be nice. But what do you have after Cillian Murphy?
I mean, you talk about flowers, and this is a movie in the performance I want to put at number 1, but I just can't see Killers of the Flower Moon winning 3 acting awards, or maybe even 2 acting awards, so I can't have it sweeping like that. So I do have Leo at number 2. I've heard the raise. This is his best performance in his career. I really want to put him at 1.
I have not heard a single person say that. What?
I've heard like bites and read like little small things. So I haven't read a full review, just like the headlines, and that's what I've seen on multiple occasions is people saying this is Leo's best in his career, best in years. Hey, he won for sleeping in a bear. Anything's possible.
He deserved that win. I will stand by The Revenant winning Best Actor to my dying day, but I can't see it happen for Killers of the Flower Moon. I just really can't. Some people might just be hope dicting it as like it's gonna sweep, and I don't know.
I guess that would be Killers of the Flower Moon's like claim to Best Picture is a sweep picture, director, screenplay, actor, supporting, maybe supporting times 2, and then like a tech or two. But that's not gonna happen. You know what else is probably not gonna happen? Bradley Cooper in Best Actor. But guess what? I have him here. Maestro, number 3. So it's been like 6 months of shitting on Maestro, but I'm warming up to it the closer that we get to fall festival season. I still think there's a small chance this is Netflix's main push. I know that you and I both have May December as the main push at the moment. However, if it is too camp, it is too wacky, Maestro's probably the next movie up, and maybe they try it and fail like they did with Glass Onion or Bardo or White Noise last year, but there's a chance where they try it and succeed, like Trial or like Mank. I feel like since Cooper is directing this, he's playing a real life person, he's going to be caked up in makeup, that can carry him a long ways in this category. I feel like he is the most vulnerable person in my top 5.
Everything I've heard about the movie is boring as shit, but Bradley Cooper is great, cinematography is great, and the makeup is great. Even if the movie is like very mediocre, it could be like Being the Ricardos. The acting nominations just come along anyways.
I made the case last week when we talked about Best Picture that I think that Maestro could follow a similar path to The Whale, where people are like, no, it's not going to happen, and then it comes out of nowhere, and then it still misses Best Picture at the end of the day, but it still gets into key categories. With Maestro, it's going to be actor, maybe screenplay, and hair and makeup, and then anything else maybe not, but those are the 3 I feel the best about at the moment. However, someone who I previously had at number 1 in this category the last time you heard me talk Best Actor is all the way down to number 4. That's Coleman Domingo for Rustin. I know I just said Netflix can get their actors in. I still feel like they can get him in, but I don't know if they can get him to a win if this movie's not a Best Picture player and it's not, getting glowing reviews. Like, this thing doesn't need to have a 90 on Metacritic. It just needs to be passable, like Elvis was last year. I know Austin Butler didn't win, but that type of movie, and I don't think Rustin's going to end up like that. I would love to see Coleman Domingo get rewarded for something. I mean, he's had a great career, even though he hasn't had many standout moments. Hasn't really, Color Purple could happen. We'll see what happens to Best Supporting Actor here in a few minutes. But Rustin, I'm losing my faith on as we go on. However, I do feel like he has an angle to hang in the conversation. Like, he could hit SAG but miss Golden Globes, like something like that, where like he's like very on the fringe and just musters his way into Best Actor. And speaking of a love actor, number 5, and this may be to a surprise to some, but not to a surprise to everyone on this channel, I still have Matt Damon in for Air at my 5th slot. He's staying at my number 5 slot all year until we get into some of the main awards bodies. Matt Damon staying at 5. He's not going any higher. He's not going any lower. He stays here until Golden Globes. Golden Globes happen, he either goes up or he goes down. Even though there's people below him I think are more likely, I'm sticking with his Air as Best Picture, Screenplay, Actor, and maybe something else from there.
I took him out of my top 5. I've also dropped out of my picture because I think that there's other early contenders that are going to hold more passion, and I just don't see it being like a resurgence type contender when it's only really competitive in 3 different categories. I still have it in for screenplay, though. I will say it could go back in. We'll see. It could be Elvis. It just doesn't have the crafts that Elvis did.
And speaking of Elvis, musical biopics, lead actor, Kingsley Ben-Adir, Bob Marley, One Love is at number 6. I was a lot higher on him back when we did our first predictions back in, what was it, like March, January, whatever one was the first time I talked about actor. I had him super high. I had him at like number 3, but he's dropping for me. It's just because I don't know anything about this movie. Yeah, it could come out in time. Maybe it doesn't. And I got burned on I Want to Dance with Somebody last year. Yeah. Not trying to do that again. Kingsley Ben-Adir is a lot more beloved and respected. However, still, this is a Paramount biopic that we don't know much of anything about. I feel like if the movie's solid to the level of like an Elvis or The Whale, he probably gets in. But if the movie's not solid in that way, he's going to be left out. Speaking of I would say the most glaring omission in my top 5, and that's just because I have this movie kind of underperforming for not really reasons dealing with the movie itself. That is The Holdovers, and I have Paul Giamatti at number 7. I don't think he's going to be bad. I don't think this movie's going to be bad. I just feel like this movie's going to get a lot of buzz that's not in the good way around it once it does come out. That could be completely hypothetical. I know last year we said that could have happened with Babylon and Brad Pitt and some other stuff, and it never really happened. I feel like The Holdovers could, maybe not to the level of an Amsterdam, but like get hit with something along those lines, and maybe Giamatti's safe from that because he's not the issue there, but I think the whole movie could be tanked with that as well.
The Alexander Payne controversy is going to be much more of a Brad Pitt situation where Brad Pitt was still getting nominations. It's not Amsterdam. Amsterdam tanked not just because of David O. Russell. It tanked because people didn't like the movie. And if people like The Holdovers, it will not matter what Alexander Payne has done.
Rounding out my top 10, I'll kind of speed through these because I don't think they're as likely. At number 8, I have Yuteo for Past Lives. I have Christian Friedel for The Zone of Interest and Andrew Scott for The Strangers, rounding out my top 10. And just on the outside, Adam Driver for Ferrari. We've heard nothing with this movie. It's probably not good, but hey, it's Adam Driver and people do like him, but I don't think enough to get into an Oscar nomination.
I mean, we have heard Adam Driver doing his awful Italian accent in House of Gucci. That inspires zero confidence from me.
I feel good about this lineup more so than another acting category. Matt, do you have anyone else I didn't mention here in, I guess, my top 11?
Hey, I'll give you some possibilities as well. Barry Keoghan in Saltburn, I think a lot of people would have in their top 5. I personally have him floating just on the outside because I don't see Saltburn actually being a contender. But
Yep.
I think Barry Keoghan still has the might to get into the Oscar conversation, even if it's just a BAFTA nomination, even if it's just a Golden Globe nomination. He's gonna get some nominations. It's going to happen no matter what, especially because apparently he's really good in this movie, which I don't doubt because Barry Keoghan is awesome. Then Anthony Hopkins in Freud's Last Session. I haven't heard great things about the source material of Freud's Last Session, but it's Anthony Hopkins. He's another one that I could see getting a Golden Globe nomination or a BAFTA nomination. Then, worth mentioning, double bill, Michael Fassbender, Next Goal Wins, The Killer. Even more so than Maestro, I think The Killer could end up being the movie that Netflix wants to get in. It might not actually get in. Same with Next Goal Wins. We're talking a lot about how we don't know what Searchlight's doing. Maybe Next Goal Wins is just it. We're both resisting that a little bit, but maybe that's just the correct answer right here. Paul Dano in Dumb Money. It's possibly supporting, it's possibly his lead. I don't know. It's also possible the movie's a piece of shit, so who knows?
I think they all have issues. That's why they're not in the top 10. I would say Fassbender and The Killer's probably the most likely one. This movie could be a lot bigger than we're all projecting for at the moment. Next Goal Wins. I just think, like we talked about last episode, this movie's going to be hit with like the Bardo. We just don't like Taika anymore, so movie bad, even if movie isn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. People are ragging on Taika Waititi right now. I could see that movie getting the greatest beer run ever treatment.
Well, at once upon a time last year, I can recall some people out there, not saying either of us, but some people out there had Russell Crowe in their Best Supporting 10 for Greatest Beer Run Ever. So why don't we go over our Best Supporting Actor predictions here in June of 2023? And this is with you. So who is at number 1?
Okay, I'm going to take a wild shot here, just a wild card. I think I'm actually going to insert a video in a little bit when I've seen Past Lives to confirm whether or not John Magaro is still... Magaro? I don't know. Magaro sounds like it has, like, weird implications. I'm not going to call him John Magaro. So, Magaro. Past Lives is my number 1 right now.
Okay.
It feels to me like Troy Kotzer, like Ke Huy Quan, putting him here. Again, a video will come up of me saying if he is actually number 1 or not, but at the moment I have him at number 1 because I can't see Robert De Niro winning, and I can't see Charles Melton winning, and I can't see anyone else winning, so John Magaro just feels better? Why not? I'll do it for now. At number 2 and 3, I've already mentioned Robert De Niro, Charles Melton, Killers of the Flower Moon, May December. These are both performances that I think are going to get a lot of critic love, but they might not have the heart to them to win the category. Robert De Niro is a legend, but is that enough to win him another Oscar? He couldn't even get nominated for The Irishman. This seems like it's a better performance than The Irishman, but I just don't see it winning. And Charles Melton is apparently a little bit too subdued in this role. He seems to not be the focus. Like, a lot of people walk out of that movie saying Natalie Portman, Julianne Moore, oh, and Charles Melton. I see him getting nominated, but I think that he has some hurdles to overcome if he's going to win, which is why that leaves John Magaro at Past Lives. Cue the video about whether or not I actually think he's winning. Okay, I have now seen Past Lives, and I don't think John Magaro is going to win. You see it reflected in the graphic on screen. I have him at number 3 right now. The performance is very subdued. He's not really the central part of the movie. He has so much less to do than Greta Lee and Yu Teo. Actually, I would say I think that if they campaign Yu Teo in supporting instead of lead, because they could fraud him into supporting, I would say that he's win competitive, but John Magaro just definitely is not. He doesn't have enough material outside of like one really great scene. I don't think that this is a winning performance. So for now,
I guess I'm going back to Robert De Niro, but I don't know about that. I'm going to be looking for another option all year long.
I mean, I think you make great points there. As we've mentioned numerous times throughout these videos, they're all subjective and they all are not in a vacuum. Like, it's with what all your other categories are. So, like, I don't think Killers are winning much above the line, and May December may not be the biggest thing to set the world on fire. I still do have De Niro at my number one. Killers can't win every acting category. It's going to have to fall off one way, and is it going to fall off here? Is it going to fall off in supporting actress? I just feel like it's going to win one of those. I feel like one of the other categories is more likely. I have De Niro at one for the moment. I also have not seen Past Lives yet, so who knows? Maybe once I see it, A24 put this movie out in more than 3 cities at one time, I can move him up to number one as well. But I have the same top 3 as you. Those Cannes reviews for May December have Melton right back up.
At number 4, I have Colman Domingo in The Color Purple. I don't have him in my top 5 for Rustin, but I do have him here. Interestingly, this is not the role that got nominated on Broadway. He plays Mister in the movie The Color Purple. Meanwhile, Harpo, played by Corey Hawkins, that was the role that got nominated on Broadway, but I watched the play. Harpo's not in it much. Mister's in it a lot more, and Colman Domingo has a much bigger profile than Corey Hawkins does, which is why I've got him in my top 5 here. I think it's a great role. It's got some great songs. I could see him having a lot of great scenes alongside Fantasia Barrino that could bring him along into the top 5. Then at number 5, wrapping it up, I have Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. This is where I think doing the most might really benefit. As we're seeing in the performance, Mark Ruffalo is like screaming at the top of his lungs. He's just like chewing the scenery. It looks like a crazy performance. So that's my top 5.
I am warming up to Domingo in Color Purple instead of Rustin. I also feel like a Poor Things guy is getting in here for supporting actor, but I don't really know. That newest trailer doesn't really point that Ruffalo's in the movie a lot. So it's something that we'll have to see when the movie comes out, which isn't that far away.
So interestingly, in the source material, Mark Ruffalo's character is actually not in it a lot. He's in 2 chapters of the book, but it looks like the majority of the movie is those 2 chapters. So at number 6, I have Willem Dafoe. I think he looks like he's doing a lot too. The Academy loves Willem Dafoe. They gave him a nomination for At Eternity's Gate when it was just a tiny movie that got basically nothing else the entire season. They're like, here you go, Willem Dafoe. But they couldn't do it for The Lighthouse. Anyways, I think Willem Dafoe or Mark Ruffalo will be in here. One of the 2. I just think Mark Ruffalo looks like he's doing a little bit more, whereas Willem Dafoe looks like he's being Willem Dafoe, but with some crazy makeup. Number 7, I know a lot of people are going to be saying Ryan Gosling should be in your top 5. He could be in there for Barbie. I'm going to entertain the idea. I think that Ryan Gosling totally could be in the top 5. I just don't have him in because I don't think Barbie's going to be a big contender. And also, like, the last time someone doing such a comedic role, such a goofy role, got nominated in Best Supporting Actor was in 2008 with Robert Downey Jr. for Tropic Thunder. That's the last time a goofy, dumb performance like Ryan Gosling and Barbie got in. I can't base things off of like, oh, well, the last time this happened was because like then things like Everything Ever All at Once happen where it's never happened before. So the reason I don't have him in is because I don't think the movie is going to be a big deal. If it is a big deal, you can put Ryan Gosling in. 8, Corey Hawkins, The Color Purple. I've already said I don't see the role being huge, but the movie I think will be huge. And the role got a nomination on Broadway, so cool. Then I've got a hope diction here. I so desperately hope the internet and other celebrities can Andrea Riceborough, Glenn Howerton, and Blackberry into some nominations. It doesn't matter if it's an Oscar nomination. Give me a Critics' Choice nomination. Give me some critics groups. Give me an Indie Spirit nomination. Just give Glenn Howerton something. A Golden Globe nomination, perhaps? I don't know. Glenn Howerton is so good in this movie. Dylan, you haven't seen Blackberry yet. Whenever you see Blackberry, you're going to agree with me. Glenn Howerton is the supporting actor of the year. In a just world, I would be able to put him in my top 5, but I can't because Blackberry is a tiny Canadian movie that no one in the States has gone to see. It's like made $1 million at the box office, which is good for a Canadian movie, but it's not good for an Oscar contender. And finally, number 10, Jesse Plemons, Killers of the Flower Moon. No buzz around this performance. Gone are the days where we said that Killers was going to get 2 supporting actors in the top 5.
They said the same thing about Power of the Dog, and he pulled it out. Am I predicting that? No, but
You are
how
right,
they all
yeah.
came out, no one talked about Jesse Plemons, and then boom, BAFTA, boom, Oscar nomination out of nowhere. So small chance. I think keeping him your 10 is good, but top 5, no.
He's a low contender, but he's gonna stick around while other performances might drop. You know, the Poor Things guys, they could drop down. Color Purple guys, they could drop down. Barbie could drop way down. Killers of the Flower Moon, Jesse Plemons is gonna stay there all year long, and he's gonna make his way higher, I think.
Some other little names I would mention. I mean, you have 2 Poor Things guys. Why not throw the third up there? Maybe not top 10, but around that area of Rami Youssef. I mean, there's some other random names you could throw out there. I'm sure you have some here.
Oh yeah, I'll throw out a few random names. Mike Faced in Challengers has some juicy scenes. I've read the script of that. I wasn't a huge fan of the script, I'm gonna be honest. Josh O'Connor is the lead, I would say. Mike Faced is a large supporting role, and Zendaya is a large supporting role. Could be frauded into lead, but probably a supporting role. Mike Faced is gonna do an amazing job. Also worth mentioning, Glenn Turman in Rustin. If Rustin ends up being a thing, Coleman Domingo gets in. Maybe Glenn Turman is a possibility. Austin Butler, Dune Part 2. He looks like he's doing a crazy role, chewing the scenery. It's possible right there. And I'll leave it at that for now.
So that brings us over to Best Supporting Actress, which is with me this month. And I'm kind of going to blow through this category because I think it's the easiest of the 5. That doesn't mean Best Supporting Actress isn't an important category. Not at all. It just means, you know, we're in June and one of the categories has to look somewhat normal. And it's this one. Lily Gladstone, number 1. We've heard she's great. Killers of the Flower Moon, probably going to win something above the line. This looks like it could be it. That lone supporting actress saying, I know it didn't happen last year, but it happens a lot of the time. Then we have both Color Purple ladies with Danielle Brooks, Taraji P. Henson. I think they're neck and neck. They're probably going to be like the favorite ladies from a few years ago, where if only one of them was here, they would easily win. But they're both here. They both can't win, and therefore neither of them win. And then Julianne Moore, May December's at number 4, like Matt mentioned, and lead actress. Maybe someone in this movie could fall off. I'm not projecting at the moment, but if it was to be someone, I would say it's her, and that would be for one of these next 3 people in line. I have Viola Davis in Air at number 5. As I mentioned, I have this in picture, I have it in actor, I have it in screenplay, and I also have it in supporting actress. That's its package for me, but if you don't have this in picture, I get it. Viola Davis is not even in your 10. I didn't think she was really one of the bigger standouts in the movie, but I get why people really loved her performance. And then at number 6, I have Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Maybe she should be in my top 5. However, like I mentioned, I think The Holdovers will kind of have a little bit of a cold reception, but I definitely can see the angle. I like her as an actress. I can't think of a performance where she's been bad, even if the movie's not very good. I guess some other quick shout outs would be Lashana Lynch and Bob Marley, One Love. The director to King Richard, he got a lead actor and a supporting actress nomination. Not saying that's going to happen with all his movies. I mean, good Joe Bell, but maybe he does it again here. Probably not. And then I have Jodie Foster for Naiad if it is a bigger player like Matt was saying in previous months, and if it does get into actress, cinematography, a screenplay comes along, this is one of Netflix's bigger push, maybe Jodie Foster can find her way. And rounding out Claire Foy Strangers, Tilda Swinton The Killer, not much faith in these, but hey, I gotta have a 10.
I would say I don't have any faith in the Bob Marley biopic, so Lashana Lynch I don't have there. I don't know anything about Jodie Foster Naiad, but I mean, I'm high on it in other categories. Some other ones to mention here, Carey Mulligan in Maestro. I know some people would have her in Best Actress. I think she's going to be in Supporting Actress. I don't think it makes any sense to put her in Best Actress because it's a Leonard Bernstein biopic. I don't know. I think that she should be at least in the top 10 for Supporting Actress, even if she possibly could be in Best Actress. Also, Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer. Christopher Nolan does not write women very well, but hey, it's worth mentioning. And Zendaya in Challengers. A lot of people would have her in lead. After reading the script, I think she is distinctly a supporting role.
Everything I've seen with people talking about the movie have said starring Zendaya and then supporting Mike Faced, and
they're saying that for marketing purposes.
Yeah,
the movie is about a love triangle between Josh O'Connor, Mike Faced, and Zendaya. But Josh O'Connor is like the main character. Yeah. Unless you call all 3 of them leads, you could call all 3 of them leads. But if we're picking one lead, it's Josh O'Connor, not Zendaya.
If we're moving those 2 into supporting, they probably knock out Claire Foy and Jodie Foster. I would still keep Tilda at number 10 just because Fincher, even if his movies aren't Best Picture players, they still find a way into an action. Mulligan is in my top 10 for lead actress at the moment. I think Zendaya's just out. Maybe she's at my number 10. I'm not sure. That's a weird category. But yeah, Best Supporting Actress, I feel good about my top 6. It's just which one do you have out at the moment? I have Randolph out, but makes total sense if you have Davis or Moore on the outside.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of these acting predictions for the month of June. These are our post-Cannes predictions. How good are you feeling about your predictions right now? Which categories do you feel best about? Which ones do you feel worst about here? Because personally, I'd say I feel really good about supporting actress, really good about actress. I feel awful about actor and supporting actor.
My supporting actress 5, like I just mentioned, I feel great about. My lead actress winner, Fantasia, makes sense, but also if everyone's saying her, is it really gonna happen? That usually doesn't happen. And yeah, the two acting, the male acting categories of best actor and best supporting actor are complete question marks for me at the moment.
Yeah. I feel better about best actor than I do about best supporting actor. Supporting actor, I'm like, oh. We're going to be wrong about all of this. Isn't that fun? Isn't that why the Oscar race is so fun? Because we get to be wrong all year long and then pretend we're smart because we were right at the last minute.
That's why we start these up in January, February, March. Is that way we can have a whole year to build up our pile and pile and pile of L's. So let us know down below, what are our L's already? Let us know down below. But until next time, my name is Dyl.
And my name is Matt, and this is Fantasy Filmball.